Some seasons are hard and you're putting muscle on and it's not going to be easy. Just let it be hard. And I like, as I was like really trying to take my own breaths with my 3-year-old yesterday, I was like, yeah, this is hard and I'm going to let it be. I'm not going to like try to run from it. It's hard and we're both putting muscle on.
Welcome to the Hey Mama podcast. We're your hosts, Tessa and Shayna. We are sisters, mothers, and doulas and are passionate about living an intentional life and all things motherhood. This podcast exists to create community as we learn how to delight in motherhood together.
Join us weekly as we chat with women about anything and everything from non-toxic living to women's health to feeding our families and our favorite topic of all, birth. We are so glad you're here.
Please keep in mind, the views of our guests may not necessarily reflect our own and vice versa.
This is not medical advice. We always encourage you to do your own research and make an informed decision. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome to the Hey Mama podcast. We are so happy you guys are here. Today is going to be a really fun episode. We're sitting down and talking to one of our dear friends, Jacquelyn. So, Jacquelyn, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, we would love that.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Two of my favorite mamas. My name is Jacquelyn LARSON, and I have 2 small girls, Ever, who is 3 years old, and Grace, who's 11 months. I cannot believe that she's 11 months.
That is wild.
I am an associate marriage and family therapist, which means, so I'm like in the stage right before getting my license, I'm accruing hours. So it's like your residency as a doctor. And I was an actress, which I'm sure we'll get into, and I have a husband. His name is Jeff, and he is amazing. But it's not about him. It's about me, and I'm a mom.
Yeah, it is about you.
It is about you. That's why we had you on today, not Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just you. Well, thank you so much for that. Okay, so we wanted to see if you would go into a little bit about just kind of your transition with holistic living, how you got to where you are now, and just kind of along the way, how that has shifted within just, you know, within marriage and then having your little girls and where it's kind of led you ultimately.
Yeah. So I would say for sure it's a broad, but it's a journey, right? Like holistic living is such a journey. And I feel like mine has been a marathon and I'm still on it. When I was growing up, I feel like I always had stomach aches, and people were always like, oh my gosh, Jacquelyn, you don't have a stomach ache. Like it's, you know, or like in my teenage years, if I would have a stomach ache, it was always like, she's worried about her weight or she's worried about, you know, like her image or something. But it was legit. I had a stomach ache. I did not feel good with what we were eating. And so I think my first sort of step into it was learning how to cook for myself, which that really has been its own journey in and of itself, of just not eating processed food. I mean, really what it is not like taking gluten or anything out. It's like cooking real food, making real food, making food at home. No, not from a box, not from anything that's processed, but just, you know, simple ingredients. And since doing that, I don't have stomach aches anymore, and I don't have headaches anymore. And I don't have like intense cramping. So that was sort of my first like, entry into the race. But then I got into oils. My sister actually got me into oils. She started with Young Living.
So did our sister.
Not one of you? Another sister?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, our oldest sister got us in.
Yeah,
she was wise
and really introduced us. Yeah,
seriously.
She's awesome.
She
and
taught
those
us all,
just
but continue.
Oh yeah. I mean, they just like opened up so many doors. I remember I bought my first kit and then I didn't use it because I was like, I don't know what to do with this. And then the week before my wedding, I broke out in this like crazy, I'm sure it was like something stress rash. And my sister was like, pull out purification and lavender. And I did. And it went away immediately. And I was like, okay, we got to learn about these. What's happening? So then I got married and turned my husband's world on a head because I was like, we're throwing away Clorox. We're throwing away everything in this cabinet. And he's like, what are we going to clean with? And I was like, this. And now we do. Oils.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Thieves. Yep.
Yeah.
So that like, I think that like entered me into, oh, okay, I don't need to pop an Advil for everything. I don't need to, we don't necessarily just need medicine for everything. It has its place. But it's not, you know, a place of every day. And then, so, you know, going along, doing my pregnancy thing, we got pregnant, and that was a journey. It's all a journey. But that particular piece of it, it just it ups the game, right? Like the stakes are so much higher, and you're trying to do everything holistically and naturally, and yet you have to learn. And it's not like there's a ton of information. So my first pregnancy, I actually saw an OB, and I had a hospital birth, and there wasn't like a ton of education in that realm. So that, that was definitely something that I had to learn in my second pregnancy when I had a home birth. But going back a little bit, after I had Ever, in my gut, I felt like, okay, there's a lot of vaccines on the CDC schedule. And my mom saved everything when I was a kid. So she actually saved my baby book, and she had written down every single shot that I had gotten. And there was like 3 or 4 total. Like it was polio, DTaP, and the MMR. Like that's a massive, like the difference in the number of shots that's on the schedule now. So that kind of got me into this, like, all right, I need to start researching. I need to learn more. Started reading books, and I slowed my first daughter's schedule down. And at 4 months, the day that we got her vaccines, so she only had 3. She had Hib, Prevnar, and DTaP. That day, her heart started racing up to over 300 beats per minute. And it was terrifying. And nobody could tell me what was going on. When we called the ambulance, we got into the hospital, nobody could tell me what was going on. And I kept saying, the only thing that's different is that she's had her shots. And everybody at the hospital kept saying, oh, no, that's a coincidence. This is unrelated. And there was a lot of that, of just, oh, no, her heart just started racing for no reason. And that was like, as a mother, when you're terrified and they're stabbing needles into your baby, and you're just what is happening right now? Why can't you give me an answer? And I'm just telling, like, why are you defensive on just this one thing that I'm telling you has happened today? That's the only thing that's different.
Right. Exactly.
So that started me down a big rabbit hole. And actually, right after that, 2 weeks later, we all shut down because COVID hit. So it was a real stressful time for me as a new mom. I was, 4 months into motherhood. Now, we're locked down. So I'm doing all this research, and my pediatrician, I don't know if you remember, but like first they told us not to bring babies in for well checks. And they said, no, you have to come back for well checks. And she really pushed doing another round of vaccines. And she was just like, it was a coincidence. Please just listen to me on this. She needs this protection. So we did 2, and they actually were out of one of the vaccines that day. So I brought her back in, and by the way, I had the Owlet at this point. We were like, she had a heart monitor. We were seeing a cardiologist. Like we were monitoring every bit of her, of like where her heart was. And I knew like, she was also on beta blockers. So she was also on like something that's not allowed for her heart not to be raised. Right. So she has the reaction again. And they continue to tell me, oh, no, that it's not, this is a coincidence. And at that point I'm like, absolutely not. I'm leaving this pediatric office, which I won't name. And we're gonna find answers. And I found this amazing doctor. He's, I don't know if he's world renowned, but lots of people know him. He's takes a integrative, holistic approach. And he was like, oh yeah, absolutely. This is a vaccine injury. And it was the first time where I just sobbed in his office, because I was like, why? At least like, tell me the truth. Tell me, like, why are you trying to gaslight me on this? Right. So that has really upped our ante on anything. I mean, we've done a lot of research on vaccines. We've done a lot of research on health, of how to keep our bodies healthy, of what to do in certain situations when, we have colds and we have, or the whatever sickness gets a little bit more intense. We have other arsenals in our tool belt that aren't just vaccines.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a lot.
That is no, that is truly like, it just breaks my heart because it's like, yeah, you already had this like intuition beforehand to like, you know, go slow, and then like, oh, why are there so many? And you're already like questioning things, and then you trust them. You trust them, and you know they're the pros, and you know nothing, right? I'm joking, of course. But truly, yeah, you're just, you know, giving them your baby's life essentially and just trusting them. So that's such a hard place to be. And then it happens a second time.
Yeah.
And that is just truly insane. And it breaks my heart for you. And she is now a healthy little girl, right?
She is. Yes.
She's
not on beta blockers.
Yeah.
Has never have it happen again. We have not vaccinated her since then. And we've made a lot of choices that go with that, especially in the state of California.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if for your audience that's a reach in the state of California, to enter school, there's essentially no opt out for the vaccine schedule.
Yeah.
And our doctor has actually told us, and our doctor has actually told us that he has attempted to have medical, like a medical letter that excuses the vaccines, and they've all been denied, especially because we're in such a heated environment right now with the narrative of our country with what happened after COVID, which is truly sad because, you know, you've got kids like my daughter who it is the risk of vaccines is so much greater than, you know, the risk of her even contacting whatever it is that she's getting the vaccine for.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And that's such a hard place because I know we'll go into this more, but you're able to be home with her. So then it's all of these other families who are like, when the kids are not able to be home with a trusted caregiver, then what do? Then they're putting their child at risk and their health at risk and their lives at risk in order to be able to put into a care because the parents or the mom can't, they have to be somewhere. Right. So that's a really hard, very hard line.
Yes.
And that's just,
that California kind of puts you in.
Exactly.
They kind of put you in this shoebox of like, you do it our way or you don't do it any other way. And if you do it another way, then you're
paying a lot of money. Like,
right.
It's like, you're sacrificing, and then you have to have someone trusted to step in. So, oh, that's hard. Thank you for sharing that, Jacquelyn, because I know that was a lot and we appreciate that. And that's such a journey that you've been on. So so you're doing the oils, you're being, you know, purposeful, intentional with whatever puts in her body, what's around your home, what's in your environment. Is there anything else that you're like, we've also been doing this, or we've been trying this, or, you know, something different? Like, what do you do when she goes at a birthday party and, you know, there's cupcakes and cookies, and like, where is there a balance? Is there anything where you're like, okay, like, this isn't in our home, but it's a special occasion? Or like, how do you kind of navigate that now that she's at the age where she knows, she's 3 years old, so she knows what she wants and she knows what mommy gives her, and, you know, all those kind of different things?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm still navigating that. I feel like I've figured out a lot of great, yummy recipes. Sweet Laurel Bakery, like their cookbook is incredible with all these super yummy, you know, desserts and cookies and cakes that are flavored or that are sweetened with maple syrup, and you know, they don't have sugar, and they're whole food ingredients, not made from a box. So that's been her birthday cake every year. Those are the cookies. I try to take those if I know that we're going to have, you know, there's going to be box cupcakes or something like that. I'll try to have an alternative. And honestly, she really likes it better. She's like, oh, this doesn't taste like mommy's cookie. She knows the difference. And I feel like there's a lot of people who kind of, in the beginning, they were like, oh, just wait. Like, she's not going to, she's a good eater now, but she won't continue. And I feel like if you it is so hard to stay the course, but if you stay the course, you know, it really does pay off. Toddlers really can have a wonderful palate. It doesn't have to just be, you know, and there's no judgment. Being a mom is so hard. And there are days where I'm like, we're going to have 3 more bites. Okay. You know, like, just cause you need to get food in you. But I do think I want people to know it's possible. It is possible if you, you know, prolong sugar as long as you can. And like the actual, you know, refined sugar. And then to really offer nutrient dense food. I mean, food is medicine. Food heals us. Food keeps us healthy. And it's not to say that we're never sick. I mean, we had the flu like everybody else over Thanksgiving, but, but she bounced back, and it really is, it is medicine. So yes, going to birthday parties, and it's not to say that she's never had a box cupcake, because she has. But I do try to offer alternatives. I do, where I can. So it's possible to say no. It's possible to say no. Like Halloween, she went trick or treating, and we didn't have any of that candy. She got back and she asked for cheese. So
no.
She never asked for her candy again. Yes. And next year she'll be a little bit more cognizant of what's going on, and we'll do like a toy switch or something, but it's possible.
Or little candies you have made, or a little treat.
Brownie bites. Yeah.
I
love that, because that's been something like when we started our food journey with Sage, I would talk to Shayna about, I'm like, it's so cool because you have like all this like creative power, right? And you get to know exactly what they're eating, and you get to expand their palate. And like, he is an amazing eater, and I feel very like similar to you in like this journey, and I know Shayna's the same, but I love the idea that you can start to talk to them, because even like, I can't really talk to Sage at 1.5, but Ever, you can start to talk to, because you're like, did that make your tummy kind of hurt?
Yeah.
Do you remember before when you ate that and that kind of hurt your tummy, or it made, you have, bad poops that night? Like, and you can start to talk to them a little bit more. And I love that kind of perspective. Like, they get to have a say in it. Like, do you want this, or do you want to wait till you get home? You can have something, with mommy. And just starting to like, talk to them about their body and how they actually feel. Cause we even like growing up, we're like, we would avoid, like, we're both like very headache driven people. We were like, we always had headaches growing up. But it was like, we could like smell something and be like, oh, I'm not going to eat that, cause like, it's literally going to give me a headache. But even like as a kid, like our mom did kind of, I guess, give us an awareness to it. But even more so, it's more like, we're also like, oh, we never eat Doritos, so we're going to eat them. And then we know we're going to feel sick. Every single time you made a bag of Doritos. I just think that's such a cool empowerment to your child of like, all right, you can start to choose, like, do you want to do this while you're at this party, or do you want to just wait till you get home? Or, but I love that with like, she just asked for cheese.
So cute.
Yeah. Or she'll say, sometimes she'll, she's actually never asked for steak. Oh, I'd be so proud. But the other day she was playing with her dolls, and she said, oh, Minnie is sick. And she goes, Mommy, she needs a green smoothie. It'll fight off the sickies. And I was like, oh, like the clouds opened up and the light came down over me. She didn't grab
the shot and give her a shot.
She did not. No.
That's weird.
She went in the green smoothie.
That's so cute.
That is amazing.
I love it.
And I wanted to say something kind of backtracking, but where you're like, oh yeah, like people are always like, oh, so you guys never get sick. We want to be sick. Like that's part of our immunity and our boosting of our body. Like we need to be sick. But there's that, what you're saying is that healthy balance of like, but we're not just doing maybe everything as traditional or westernized as the majority of people. We're doing alternative options. And then there's a time and place where if that's needed, we are not going to deny our child or ourselves of something that if it's going beyond, what our scope is. And so I think that was a really good point you made of just like retouch on that. Like we should be getting sick. That's a part of our natural immunity. We don't build up a strong immunity if we're not getting sick. And so you are feeding your body exactly what it needs in order to then fight off well and fight that sickness well. So that was just I just want to go back to that. Like that was a really good point you made, and I loved that.
Yeah.
And you also made a really good point of it's not easy to be intentional and to do these things. Like I know for myself, and I know like when I go to dinner with Tess or anything, it's like, we're always packing dinner and we have a separate snack and we have their coconut water and then we have their cocktail. And it's like, it's not an easy thing. Like it is a lot of preparation. Sometimes it's stressful. I'm like, okay, you're just going to have these refried beans at this Mexican restaurant because I didn't pack you lunch because I didn't know we were going here. So it's like, of course there's that balance, but being intentional when we can. And I made River a refined, sugar-free, dairy-free, grain-free birthday cake. Was it the best thing in the world? It wasn't, but it was pretty delicious. It was pretty good.
Sage's was even better.
Yeah, Sage's was so good that Tessa made. I was like,
but you didn't like Shayna was like, you were like a different level of like top notchness.
I had to cut out dairy for a little bit, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay. Yeah.
They are delicious. And there's like, there's when we're, it's a lot of planning and it's intentionality, but I just was commending you of it's a lot of hard work, but you're doing amazing. And that's beautiful. You're giving her the options that she needs to, like what Tessa said, have that autonomy and choose what she wants and know how it makes her feel.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Has it ever been like a journey? Like, obviously, I feel like it's really common for a lot of women to get on board with a certain way, and then they have to bring their husbands on board. I don't know how it was with your guys' journey, but was that something for you and your husband, like where you needed to like kind of like almost convince him or bring him on board, or how did that go?
So my husband is really amazing in the sense that like, I always want to be on board. So I'll say like, here's what I'm thinking. Like I said, even before like the vaccine thing, I said, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what my gut's saying. Here's the research that I'm doing. I want you to come alongside me. And then he came alongside me and started reading. But we also, we learned this actually, we're Marriage Strong trained, which is like this, modality, restoration therapy modality that my husband got trained in as well, so that we can help couples. And one of the things that we learned in this training is that we're each going to have domains. Like we're kind of like, you're the head of this domain, or I'm the head of. So my husband, head of finances. Like I look at numbers and I just see like squiggles. Like he's so good with our finances. So I trust him. Like he talks to me about our, what is going on with our finances, but he doesn't come to me with every single decision, because I say, okay, that's your domain. For nutrition, and holistic living, that's my domain. So I'll bring to him like big choices, like, the vaccine schedule and stuff like that. But in terms of, if I say like, here's 5 things of the reasons why I think we shouldn't do sugar until, such and such time. He's like, okay, like that's your domain. I 100% agree with you. So
I love that.
I feel like that I hit the jackpot with him.
Yeah. But that's such a neat way, because it's like that's so natural. Like we already both have our, roles, domains, like scopes that we already fall naturally into. And it's so neat that like, as a husband and wife, you get to, mirror one another and go along the journey with. But it's like, we definitely we're the same, right? Our domains would be, but I've never heard it in like those actual terms. And I love that. That's a super cool way to like, this is like not even like my calling, but my blessing of like, I can bless my family this way. Right. And just like give to them and like, nourish my family this way. And so that's super, I like that.
Yeah.
It's a cool
domain.
Put it. Very cool.
That is really neat.
I like that a lot. Well, and again, it's like, it's so cool that sweet Ever is just, on this journey already herself, but then you get to start it with Grace. Have you like, how has it gone now with number 2? Just like starting some solids and everything like that.
Well, she was so different. I it's so interesting because she's so different, just in the sense like Ever loved food from the minute I put it on her plate. Like it didn't matter. Okay. She just ate everything. And Grace tried avocado, liked it for first day. And then after that was like, I'm not really into food for like 2 months. So she didn't start eating food until she was like, I started at 6 months, and at 8 months was when she really like, and I was offering everything. And then finally I was like, okay, she's just a breastfed baby right now. And you guys know what she looks like. She's a very well-fed baby. She's very in the 90th percentile of weight and height.
Not lacking of anything.
That's right. So, cause I think I said that to you at mom group one time. I was like, she's not eating solids. And you were like, she's going to be fine. But at 8 months, she started eating, and she's in that sense. So she's different in that sense, but she has really responded really well to. I mean, I do baby-led weaning, so she eats what we eat, and she's really good about eating what we eat and being fine with it, and doing well with food as well.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now. We're just, she's doing baby-led weaning. That's where we're at.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's perfect. Yeah. It's perfect. And it just shows their personalities. They already have different personalities than one another. That's cool.
Yes.
Little girls.
Very different.
You're so cute.
Thank you.
I feel like we kind of did skip ahead too with just skipping over like, oh, you're a mom now and you have 2 girls and you're this nutritionalist, holistic guru goddess. But before that,
I don't know if I'm that level. I wish I was that level.
You are.
It's a journey. I aspire.
Yeah.
You were
An actress. You were.
I was gonna be like, you were hopping around the whole entire US, maybe 1,000 times. So, but we don't even have to go that far back.
No.
But you, just being an actress, being in LA.
And more specifically, like that journey to motherhood. Like I know we kind of talked about it, but how you kind of shared a little bit with us prior to this of your journey to motherhood and what that looked like. And it's a little bit different than I think you were expecting. But just how you got here and how you're living intentionally and being so purposeful with your girls. And if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about that with us.
Yeah, I'd love to. So just to clarify, I was hopping around the U.S. not because I was running from anything. My dad is a professional football coach. So we moved 13 times when I was growing up. But our listeners don't.
I know.
So we moved a lot when I was a kid, and I think seeing my dad do, he was a coach doing this job that sort of was like in the spotlight, gave me the, I guess, freedom to really dream big. And so, there was like no question. I was like, I'm a career woman. I'm going to be an actress and I never want children. And that was basically my outlook. I was like, that's never going to happen for me. My sister, she wanted like 18 children. And I was like, nope, that's not for me. So, I saw my goal and I started running for it. And I was 19 years old when the Lord spoke to me and said, I'm calling you to ministry. And I was like, cool. I think you actually meant conservatory, because I'm going to be an actress. That's fun. And then I kind of was like, I'll do it my way, God. Like, I'll minister to people on set. I'm so naive and so just, Anyway, so in the Lord and his graciousness and just kindness allowed me to have a career in film and television, allowed me, I started in Chicago and I moved to LA and he allowed me to work. And then about 10 years after that calling, the Lord spoke to me again and said, he reminded me, I've called you to ministry. And I was not kidding. And I was like, okay. And it's so interesting because at that time, actually, I was really working. Like I had booked a lot of things and I felt like there was a lot of momentum and it was like, Lord, this doesn't make sense. And also I was coaching. Yeah. So I was coaching in a studio. I was coaching actors. There was like nobody who loved the craft of acting more than me. I just loved the craft of acting. And I was like, Lord, what are you doing? Like, how could you be asking me to lay this down? Yeah. And so I took 6 months and I didn't tell anybody what I was praying for. I just said, Lord, okay, I'm going to pray through this and you've got to confirm it. Like you've got to just make it so clear. Mm-hmm. And, you know, God being God, he did. So I had like people coming up to me and they're like, you know, I had this dream about you last night and you were talking to women and you were preaching from the Bible. And I was like, okay. Thanks. Stop dreaming about me.
That didn't mean anything. That didn't mean anything.
Right, exactly.
Keep moving.
And then I had this other friend who is very gifted in the prophetic. She was like, and she is just so interesting because, you know, it says in the Bible that we prophesy in part. So she was saying she had this prophetic word for me. And she was like, there was this train and you were on this track and then the track just shifted. And then she proceeded to tell me what she thought it meant, something about my acting career. And of course, in my heart, I'm like, I know that different track is not is not this. And so there were several instances like that happened that it just really made it clear that I was being disobedient at this point, that I was not listening to God's calling. And finally, he said, "Your time is up. It's time to lay it down." And it was so like, I knew that God was speaking to me this. I got up the next day. I called my manager, my agent. I let them go. I quit my job at the studio that I was coaching at. And everyone was like, what are you doing? What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I'm going into ministry. And I had no idea what that meant. I just knew that I was being disobedient and I wasn't going to do that anymore. So I start praying through what ministry looks like. And I think, okay, well, so I guess I go to seminary. I guess I'm going to be a pastor. And I applied to Fuller, which is a seminary in Pasadena. And I got in and I had no peace. And I was like, God, what are you doing? And at this time, God brings my husband into my life. So like my life is like in chaos. Like I tell him, I'm like, if God tells me to move to St. Louis, I'm going to move to St. Louis. And he's like, what's in St. Louis? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's happening with my life. You just need to know up front. So we start dating and people start, again, I'm praying through these things and nobody really knows what I'm praying for. They start speaking this word MFT into my life. And I'm like, they're like, oh, I really see you as an MFT. So I had to Google what an MFT is. It's a marriage and family therapist. I'm like, I'm not like a grandma with a chamomile tea. Like this is not me. But again, I'm not kidding. The Lord has to just really beat me over the head. Like two other people who I didn't know, talked to me about interpersonal ministry and possibly therapy. And I'm like, okay, Lord. So I applied to Fuller again, second time, to their marriage and family therapy program. And a lot of things, like God just opened all these doors that, I mean, that would be like a long story, but like all these things had to happen. Like it was like a miracle that I got in because I had to take like a entrance level exam. I had to have like college credits qualify. So anyway, I get into this program and the whole time I'm like, Lord, I don't know what you're doing. Like this just feels, this doesn't feel like me. And the Lord's just pruning and refining. And there was so much healing that I had to go through. And then we have to do this thing called practicum to graduate. So you have to have 300 hours to graduate with real-time therapy. And you interview for all these different places. And God tells me to go to a school and work with children. And I'm like, God, I don't do kids. Like I don't do kids. Like just anything but kids. And the Lord just makes it so clear. I have to go to this school. And I go to this school and I cry for 4 months, probably all the way home. Like every single day, I'm like, Lord, what are you doing to your daughter? Like, how could you it was so hard for me to be there. Yeah. And I will never forget. I was sitting with my supervisor and I was telling her like, this is so hard for me. I don't know why this is so hard for me. And she said, you know, children, they're so vulnerable. And it seems like you have a really hard time sitting with their vulnerability. And I'm just like sobbing hysterically. And I realized like, you know, moving all that and living sort of like with my dad in the spotlight, I had this beautiful, loving upbringing, but it was, moving creates a lot of instability and unsafety. And there was like this, I needed to be together. It was so hard to be out of control, so hard for me to not be able to control like what was happening in the play. And I really had to heal from that. And in addition, I had to like, at this one particular site, we learned about play therapy, and play therapy is it's incredible because play is our first language. That is God's gift to us, first language. So when we get to see what kids are doing through play, you get to almost see like through the father's eyes, like you're like communicating with children through the father's eyes when you like get to sit and play with them. And I mean, it just tapped open this whole new world for me. And all of a sudden, this heart for children, this heart to want to be a mom started to beat. And, you know, God He knows us better than we know ourselves. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I went to that site and that I obeyed. Because I like can't imagine not like having to miss that opportunity to be a mom. And to see my girls and to get to like communicate with my girls the way that, you know, this play is idea of like just being immersed in play, you know, like ever like playing with her dolls and saying she needs a green smoothie. She's registering all of it. You know what I mean? Like sorry, my mascara is going to run, y'all.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. But seriously. So I don't know. What was the question?
You're answering it.
Yeah.
I've continued actually working, the Lord's let me work with little kids. And then in my associateship, I've gotten to work with families and teens, which is so fun because also like, here I am like thinking there's the stereotype of therapist, and with teens, you got to come with your A game. You got to be creative, because if you go in there with like, how are you feeling? You're dead in the water with them. But if you, I did a lot of narrative work. So we're playing in a way that is imaginative, and it's all about like who you are in the room. And I will never forget like leaving one of my sessions and telling my husband, like, I love this more than acting. And I never thought I would say that.
Aww.
Like the Lord knows the depths of our heart, the way he has created us, and his plans are good. And it's just, I'm always so blown away by when we trust the Lord, like the deep joy that we find in what he has for us.
Yeah.
So we're, here we are, and I'm like talking about how I love it, but also I've not gone back after my second pregnancy, because I can't bear to like miss it. I'm like, these years go so fast, and I want to be here. I can't miss it. And there, I'm probably going to lose. So the BBS has all these rules about how you have to have your hours within 6 years, but I'm probably going to lose some hours, which is fine because it'll be worth it that I'm momming right now.
Yeah.
Aww. I love
And
that.
you are doing incredible.
Yeah. It's so just interesting to hear too, like you just coming from someone who like, I won't have kids. I'm not going to have kids. Like you're the most like motherly mother,
nurturing,
like,
caring,
natural. Yeah. It is just so crazy for us. Cause like we meet you and we're like, oh, look at this bomb mom. Like she's so cool.
Made to be a mother.
Yeah. But then like never knowing like, oh, you had a whole entire journey that's literally led you to the heart of even having kids. And that's so cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Jordan Peterson quote. He always talks about like the 0 to 5, like age of just like, you will never get that back.
Yes.
And just that precious, precious, precious time of play and imagination.
Yeah.
Communication and language explosion and like this sweet, sweet time of like innocence that like you will never get back with them. So it's like, stay with them,
play with them,
play with them, listen to them.
Yep, they're telling us so much, and you're listening, and that's so beautiful.
That was
Thank you.
That was
Thank you
awesome
for sharing that.
You have so many golden nuggets.
You do. You do. And as we wrap up, what would be one encouragement for a mama that's maybe in a similar season as you, that is maybe in that time of like transition of like, okay, well, I feel like I'm supposed to be home with my babies, but I don't know what that really looks like, or I don't even know where to begin, or I feel that urge, but I'm kind of scared to like jump out and just do it. What would be an encouragement to someone in that kind of season of transition and that change?
So one of my favorite verses in this season is that God gently leads those with young, because, oh gosh, we so desperately need God. This is hard. Motherhood is hard. And so one, to lean on God. If God is calling you to stay home with your babies, he will make a way. And trust that he is so faithful. He will never fail. I mean, over and over when I jump, he has always caught me. So lean on the Lord. And in this season, which is really hard, like, it's not like you like, if you jump in and then you're home with your babies, it's easy. This is so hard. Right. And I was actually reflecting on something yesterday when I was about to rip my hair out because it was so hard. I was thinking about this time that I was running, like I used to run, like the mountains, because in California there's mountains everywhere. You can go on these trails and you can run up these big hills. And I remember this one time I was running and I was like mad at myself because it was hard. Like I was like, I should be running faster. I should be like, what's wrong with me? I'm like not hitting my times. And I felt the Holy Spirit say, let it be hard. And I was like, let it be hard. Still trying to beat myself down. And the Holy Spirit was saying, no, let it be hard. Like some seasons are hard and you're putting muscle on and it's not going to be easy. Just let it be hard. And as I was really trying to take my own breaths with my 3-year-old yesterday, I was like, yeah, this is hard and I'm going to let it be. I'm not going to try to run from it. It's hard. And we're both putting muscle on right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need that muscle when she's 4 and I'm going to need that muscle when she's 13 and when she's 20, I'm going to need that muscle. So let it be hard right now because the fruit is coming, but we have to put muscle on.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you. That's such an encouragement. Let it be hard. Yes.
I love it.
You're building that muscle.
Thank you. Thank you. And our last question will just be for the mother moment of the week. And what is something that maybe stood out or a little highlight with your girls this week?
Well, you guys know I took them to the farm on Monday. Farms are my happy place. I grew up riding horses. I love farms. So we got to learn all about chickens because we're going to get chickens.
So fun.
I'm so excited. So we got to learn all about how to feed them and how to take care of them. And I didn't know this, but apparently it's the type of breed when you have a brown egg or a white egg or a blue egg. I thought they were organic if they were brown, but that's not true. There's a lot to learn about chickens before we get them. So we took this class and it was just magical. Ever loves animals. Grace is getting there. She hung in there with me.
Yeah.
Ever just loves animals. So it was just, getting to do things that you love and getting to watch your children love the same things. Oh, I love that. It's so fun.
What a fun moment. That is so fun.
I love it. We need to go there too, to that farm.
Yeah, and learn how to raise chickens.
We both have, I think, looked up. Can we have chickens in our backyards?
Yeah, we cannot.
Neither of us can.
So we put them in my yard.
Yeah. We will.
And
we're going to pay.
We'll just do swaps, and then when we go out of town, you can take care of the chickens.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
We love it.
We lived on a farm, so we had tons of chickens, and our dad became very well versed in all the different breeds that created the different kinds of eggs. So we had all the blue eggs, which are my mom's dream, and the speckled ones, and the brown ones.
What is it? Americana
is and the barred
green.
rock.
Yeah, leghorns are white.
Yep.
Oh gosh, I have to learn about chickens from you guys.
Yeah. Wow. The second episode is going to be all about our 4-H classes of learning how to breed chickens.
I did 4-H too.
Yeah. Oh, what a fun time.
I have to learn. I'm going to take your class. Can you start a class on chickens? I'm not
We're going to do master.
I was going to say we need to relearn some things about chickens because the way that we raised, my parents are amazing. We raised so many animals, but I, to this day, would not agree with the standard of how we raise the chickens. They need more space.
Yeah.
And they were on corn feed. And they should not have been eating that shit. They should have been grubbing it out. They did grub, they grabbed some.
Yeah. Just a little bit more free range, little pasture raised.
More pasture. They needed a horse corral. And we did not give them that.
So the next go around, it will be different. But we'll give you anything we remember.
Okay. I love it. We're excited for you guys.
That's so fun. We're excited by eggs from you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being on and just sticking it through with us.
Being an encouragement. You're so amazing and you're so intentional with everything you do. So thank you for sharing your journey with us, your journey to motherhood.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hey Mama. We're so thankful you decided to join us today, and we hope you go forward in your day feeling encouraged and seen.
Here are a few ways you can connect with our community and support the show. The first way is to share the show with a friend via text or Instagram. You can follow and leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And finally, follow us on Instagram at 4MamaBirth.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week for another episode.